It's that timeless pursuit of when art merges with the artist, where we put ourselves out there, find that moment of motivation, and ride the momentum, and then love the very art we create. These are all deeply linked to the soul of who we are. Some say you might be able to measure that, but perhaps it is a blind pursuit. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to 21 Grams. Weirdly, this is just bizarro world today, but that's all good. And I think it's apropos with my guest, to be quite frank with you.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
um, so everybody, Josh Pantalleresco is here, and I'm real excited to have you, Josh. Thank you for coming on the show and joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been yeah. I had another sporadic appearance with Spilling Ink. I literally was at Jane Taylor's house, and that was I actually was part of the show that night because I wasn't going to get this opportunity ever again. That was an important thing, right? I was never going to get
Yeah.
that chance, right? And I made it so that it was a lot of fun. I had a lot like when I got to my American adventures, um, it was I can honestly say like this whole thing, and I realize for me, I'll let you figure out where we're gonna go, but I gotta say this whole trip has been a thing of magic the whole way so far.
I think when you take chances, that's what happens, though. I think there is an element of that, you know.
Oh yeah.
I, I do kind of, I'm curious how this all became. I know the story, but for the audience, they probably don't know the story of how this all became fruition for you and why you decided to go this way.
Sure. Okay, so I went back to Calgary in 2021 as a result of the way the pandemic was a little nuts for us all. And but I also kind of realized that I wanted to connect to some of the people that just 2 years ago, um, I would have just because I've been there for 10 years, and I've been there for a long time, and I knew some people there. Like I figured it out. I was in Calgary altogether by the time this was done, 15 years of my life. So I knew a lot of people. I made a lot of connections there. What happened though was when I got there, and this was a really weird thing, in the sense that a lot of the connections that I thought I had, the friends thought I would connect with again, I never did. One of the most, I think the most amazing thing of, I'm not gonna name names. I'll give an example though. There's a gentleman there who generally does book launches at his own house. It's a cool little party he does, and I was like, I literally the first night or one of the first weeks I was there, I saw him again. I literally saw him, and like we're friends on Facebook and stuff like that. And again, I'm not trying to just throw them under just him, because it wasn't just him. But
Mhm.
like at the end of I did Calgary Comic Con in May, as a guest at the show, and I ran into him. He's like, "Hey, how do I get a hold of you?" It's like, "You got my Facebook." It's not rocket science. Just say hi and come over, and I'll come over. It's not it's that simple to me. But it isn't just him. Like the whole city of
Mhm.
Calgary kind of went into its. Like I think more than anything else, I think one of the things I've noticed in my time, it's really easy for people who get used to being alone or used to being isolated, and that's not always a healthy thing.
No.
I don't think it's a healthy thing actually. So I didn't want to. So I came back here there to see my friends, and I'm not seeing my friends. And then again, that's one example. I can give a whole bunch. I didn't, and I also should go so far as to say it's not like I didn't see nobody. There were some friends I reconnected with and reattached with, and there's in a few cases we became better friends. I think, but and there were some things I did in Calgary I'm definitely proud of.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I'm not. I don't want to go to a city just to work in it. Like
Mhm.
honestly, who the fuck wants to do that?
Mhm.
Um, and so I made the decision after the first year. I think I'm gonna go. Like I'm gonna go. And towards the end, like a year and a half, I was there for 2.5 years. Towards the end of the year and a half mark, I was thinking about going. but I didn't have really any money. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll save up some money. I'll go next summer. A lot of things happened during that year, so I ended up almost in the exact same spot I was
Hmm.
literally that exact year later. So I just said, fuck it. I just said, fuck it. I'm doing it. I don't care. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care. I don't care. I'll backpack if I have to. And that's what I've done. I started it. So July 16th of this year, I also, there's another thing too. There was just something, it's an intuition.
Hmm.
If I hadn't done it this year, I never would have done it. And I think I would, and I don't like having regrets in my life.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
and I honestly, I am so glad I did it. So yeah, I left Calgary. So those were the big reasons why I did that. And so then, so I my last week. So during my time in Calgary, I got to work for the Calgary Flames, an NHL hockey team. So my last week was the Stampede. I got to watch an AEW live event. I met Swerve Strickland, the world champ, when he was world champion. I actually met him. He's really cool. I got to watch the last show I did was a Nickelback concert in the Saddle Dome. Did a full bunch of other Stampede events, and I was done, and I was happy to be done. Like honestly, like folks, like for the most part, and this is just my own 2 cents. If you're staying somewhere because you work there, leave. Just leave. You're miserable. You are fucking miserable. And you're not being honest with yourself. Just go. You know.
You also, I mean, working wrestling was a dream come true for you. I know that for a fact. And
Oh, it was fun. Yeah, it was
yeah,
excellent.
did you set up the ring and everything? Were you
No,
doing?
I didn't set up the ring. I sold merch. I sold merch.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I sold merchandise.
So you were at a booth. You were in like
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of the,
It was a lot like working Comic Con actually for me.
yeah, yeah.
So my job was to sell merchandise for the wrestlers that wanted me to sell merchandise for them, and I probably was the best salesman there, and I'm not even bragging. Wrestlers, much like a lot of artists I know, do not know how to promote themselves.
Yeah.
I got to see it in action. The show was good. A buddy of mine, he's a professional wrestler. He's also an author. He wrestles professionally. He invited me to do the show in Kelowna when I went there.
Mhm.
Really good indie show. Like really good. Their wrestling is very like you do not expect on an independent show. And this is gonna be hard for
Chase.
oh, this time. Well, no, just everything made sense. Like this sounds like a weird thing. Like from a wrestling has a certain language and how it tells a story, and that doesn't mean you don't see some crazy moves. There were some crazy moves in there, but in the process of the story they told, MJF said this: wrestling's about trying to win, and
Yeah.
everything that goes on in there should try to win. There were some botches, although one botch was I think a blessing in disguise for one of the characters,
Mhm.
right? Just one of those like though. Hopefully he's smart and uses that in his matches going forth because it actually adds to what his character does, right? So, but no, it was one of those. Hey, would you like to work the event? And I was like, yeah, it'd be fun. And so for one night only, I worked for a professional wrestling company. Thrash Wrestling is the band venue, and it is based in Kelowna, BC. And if you're in the Northwest in BC or any BC, you'll it's really good wrestling, like really good.
I was asking you if the friend is Chase. Is that who that was?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely Chase.
Yeah.
Chase, yes. He was actually fun story. He was injured for that event, so I didn't get to see
Oh,
him
you didn't.
actually wrestle. I no, I didn't. No, I would love to see him wrestle. Like Chase is like anyone that doesn't know, Chase is Dagenalt, is legitimately one of the biggest badasses you'll ever meet. Like it would have been really cool to see him wrestle.
Yeah, that's
Next time,
awesome.
next time.
I love all this. I mean, you have a pseudo game plan, but I mean, uh, you can't. I mean, you can do what you're doing without it. But I have a feeling in that brain that works 24/7 of yours that you have some kind of idea of how you wanted this to go. I know that when it started, the journey kind of got derailed a little bit and you had
Mhm.
to double back a little bit and adjust, just like a good writer does, right? So I'm curious for you, if that is, are you now kind of on the path you were envisioning for yourself in terms of how this began, and are you um moving forward the way you hoped it would go?
Yes and no. Um, so my initial plan was to go into California first.
Yeah,
That was my initial plan. So I ended up getting scammed on Fiverr. There's a lot of scams on the website. Any
yeah,
freelancer listening to me, it can happen. Like it was my first time, and they had a weird. It looked like I got a job, and turns out I didn't. It was just an excuse for them to take money out of my bank account. Um, and so it was weird because I couldn't go get a bank account because I didn't have a proof of address when I was out. And I'm an American, but you need some things here. And, you know, I was missing one crucial piece or I would have gotten it. And so I had to literally go back to Canada, I had to go back to Vancouver. So I wanted to go touch the Atlantic Ocean. That was one of the side quest goals of mine. It was so for those of you who don't know, I have 5 side quests and I have done 3 of them. Right, I have 2 left to do. The 4th one actually happens Monday. So and then after that, there's just one more and it's in Arizona. So what would have happened would have been I would have gone south, then I would have gone through the bottom, like eastern part of the United States, and I would have worked my way back up north and then go. Instead, what ended up happening is I went from Vancouver all the way to New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. I don't regret the trip. That's the no. Here's the yes. One of the little hidden rules I have about this trip is if I'm on the right path, things are going to work in my favor.
sure,
Right?
absolutely.
Right? That's how it works.
Hmm.
And that's how it goes.
Hmm.
Right? If I'm on the wrong path, I know that things aren't meant. I'm not like, for example, I'm not meant to stay here long term. Like where I'm at right
Hmm.
now. I'm seeing my grandmother. It's great. It's great for the most part that I'm seeing her. Um, but there are little issues. Like I can't get a bank account here, which is a
Yeah.
weird little problem. Which is a weird problem to have right now.
Hmm.
But I also have my bank just across the border. So it's kind of like this is a momentary pause. When I go again, things will move again, and I actually believe that. So now instead of going, I'm just going the opposite. I'm going to go south and then west, right? In January,
Yeah.
I'm going to be going back down. I'm going to revisit a couple friends in Kentucky, and then I'm going to keep going my way all the way down south to Florida. I'm going to be a beach bum for a little bit there. Terrible, terrible. I know,
you,
just
you
horrible.
well, and you kind of picked the wrong time of year to do that.
Well, yes and no. Here's the beautiful part about this. Here's the beautiful part about me going now. Yes, hurricane season's over and it sucked and stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I've gotten through the worst of the carnage. The carnage is done, right?
yeah,
It's gonna be a mess when I get there still a little bit, but at the same time, you know, it's now going to be winter. There's going to be lots of people down there for the winter time. That's not going to change regardless. And
yeah.
and so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go west because my last quest is in Arizona. And once I'm done Arizona, then I got a decision to make. I'm gonna probably go back to Calgary for like a month or two, another pause to finish the last little bits of business, and then I'm gonna pick a dartboard and I'm gonna pick a continent to continue on. And that's
Mm.
pretty much what I'm gonna do. I might go through South America. There's appeals to that. I might go to you know, Asia, or I might go to Europe, right? And there's pros and cons to each. And I'm not terrified about this. Again, finding where I've come. The last reason I should mention that I'm doing this is I've done everything I've wanted to do in Canada, and I've said this to people privately. I'll say this publicly. Everywhere is expensive right now. Doesn't matter where
Yeah.
you are. Well, if everywhere is expensive, that means everywhere is the same.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes,
It's that if everything was equal, where would you want to be, right? Kind
yeah,
of idea.
exactly, and everything is equal. That's the one that's the wild thing about this is in this point in history, as chaotic as it is, right now all things are being equal.
Yeah.
It almost makes no difference if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, or Los
Yeah.
Angeles, California.
Yeah.
Not that I would go to. I don't think I'm going to live in either city, to be honest with you. But I'm just saying, like
Yeah, I know.
in terms of being
As
expensive.
it is in Bristol, United Kingdom, right? So,
Yeah,
and
exactly. So now it's about so if money is an issue, but money really isn't. Again, it's funny when you have nothing to lose, money really isn't an issue, and it's a
yeah,
wonderful bit of freedom. And so now I'm just like, okay, where do I want to go? And once again, now when I get to wherever I'm going to go, I'm going to have to rebuild from the beginning again. But I'm looking forward to it because this time it will be different. I'm going to legitimately want. There's not going to be a doubt in the back of my mind. Yeah, I've seen this before. Or yeah, no, this is where I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to kick ass when I get there. But in the meantime, I'm going to just enjoy the journey while I'm on it.
sure. And that is the soul cleansing and the soul searching that provides that angle for you. But I'm curious what it does for you creatively.
Well,
What have you learned about yourself creatively that this journey is taking you on?
I'm more versatile than I thought,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. So right now, I've been pitching freelance since August.
Mm-hmm.
I got 5 articles that
Well, you've been
are,
working freelance for almost 4 years now.
yeah, yeah, but I was focusing for a lot of it on trying to get
Sure. Yeah, you had a yeah,
I had
you
an
had a
advertising angle. And
yeah,
the thing I learned about that, unfortunately, is that authors are very shy to advertise. And
yeah,
I mean, they financially don't want to do it, or that's the other thing too. Like I've had to make some very like when you decide to make this your full time thing, you got to make business decisions.
yeah,
And one of the business decisions I made, and we've talked privately about some things, is I can't work for free.
yeah,
That's what it comes down to. Like my stuff's worth something or not at all, or I
yeah,
can't. Right now, I'll do some a little bits of charity here and there, but this is how I make my living.
yeah,
So I'm gonna do that. So I've been adapting. Like the podcast has been honestly for most of my 4 years a big piece of how I've made money.
yeah,
Um, but if I'm being honest, if I'm being totally completely honest, I started freelance writing in 2020. Did this for 2020 up to about 2022.
yeah,
I really didn't know what I was doing. Now I kind of do. Like there's a business thing, and now I'm also I really want to make it work in a way I didn't want it to before. I got a travel article coming out in Alberta. I have actually the last Freefall magazine just came out in Calgary. I have an interview article there. I came out with a Taylor Swift article in September. I mean, that I wrote about Taylor Swift and got paid really well for it, like really
nice,
well for it. I got 2 more articles coming out as well. I have the one that's going to get me killed. It's about tribalism in like politics and why I think that comes about. I lambast both sides, and it's funny because I again I'm not about pissing people off at this point in my life. I don't care at this point. I will just say my opinion. Um, and I could say a lot of things. Like the other thing about going through both Canada and the United States, I understand why the world is in the way it is. I understand why people think the way they do, regardless of which way you think, because I
hmm
get it. Like I don't have this good guy, bad guy. This is my football team kind of thing in my head. I just look at it like I was in New York and for 31 hours, and I haven't told the story on my Substack yet. New York's a an evil steampunk empire. That's what New York actually is. I really figured this out. That's what New York actually is. It's really weird how it turns on and off. I was there for 31 hours. I was debating because of just how the nature of the city, if I would sleep, like, where would I sleep in New York? And I thought about Central Park. I thought about Central Park, Manhattan. I thought about the subway system. So you go into the subway system in New York, there's these hidden like tunnels in different spots. I found one. I just by exploring, I found like this hidden little spot. And you go up and there's a spot and you can see a whole bunch of, even as I speak right now, there if you go into those tunnels, there's a bunch of homeless people lined up sleeping in
Yeah.
that hidden tunnel, and you're seeing cops walking back and forth, because the homeless shelters in New York are to capacity. One of the airports actually legitimately has problems with the amount of homeless in the city, and it's an incredible seeing it from that angle. You cannot you understand certain choices for what they're made, because that's just something like you just like I've never seen this before. And in Canada, I've told this story on my Substack. I've spent a couple nights in homeless shelters up in Canada as part of the experience. Well, the one in North Bay, Ontario was brutal. It was 34 degrees, 33 degrees, pouring rain, and I'm going by America. In Canada, it'd be anywhere from 2 to 5 degrees depending on when I started. It had been raining all night, and Sudbury, they had a very organized way of getting people in and out quickly. North Bay, it was one at a time, getting searched, checked, and going into the shed, coming out to getting in. And if you had to go by number. I was number 18. I wasn't the last person on that list, and I waited for 2 hours in that night, and I got to watch just the cruelty of it, man. Like right, and so when you're seeing this kind of stuff at the underbelly, you can see why certain things are going the way they are. It's not rocket science. At the same time, I've seen some amazing kindness. It's actually, especially in the United States, I was really surprised how much you just go across, whether it's Washington or whether it's Maine, just how amazingly caring people really can be. I think that's probably the best thing about the trip, honestly.
Nice.
You just meet some, honestly, if anyone here listening or watching this is feeling like they doubt the decency of people, go out and do what I'm doing. I'm not kidding you. You will find some of the most amazing people that are rooting for you without you never know. Like, it's amazing just how much Maine. I've told the story a few times off camera, right? Rockland, Maine. I'm hitching to Portland, Maine. Okay, right before I meet Jane, and I carry a sign, "Portland, please," just like I did in Canada. So I stand at this McDonald's at the edge of not Rockland, past Rockland. There's a little subside just outside of it. McDonald's there. First hour, I had a gentleman come up to me, go to me, "Hey man, I'm gonna get Dunkin' Donuts." By the way, had given me like free stuff, then like the night before, so I had food.
Nice.
I had food. So I ended up. Guy goes, "Hey, I want something." I said, "No, I'm fine." Goes to the drive-thru, comes back, gives me $20. It's not all. Another gentleman across the street, there's a cigar shop across the street. The gentleman that owns it comes out and goes, "Hey, listen, I'm not gonna give you a ride, but I want you to. I'm rooting for you, buddy." Gives me $5. Then this little bit later on, and this is all on the same day. This lady comes to me and goes, "Hey, come here," and she's like, "Come here." She's looking at me. "Why are you doing this?" Now, this point, I've already crossed Canada, so the eyes bug out of people when they realize how far I've already gone. And they're like, "That's incredible." And you could just see it. Something just really clicked with her. She gives me $25. I didn't get a ride out of town, but I had a bus ticket literally paid for, right? Like
Yeah.
that like that's like these are like and I have tons of stories. I mean I've been thrown out of a house for talking politics. That was wild. But I at 10 o'clock at night. But for the most part, for the most part, uh, honestly, across the whole of the journey, I have been blessed with some amazing, amazing people that have crossed my path, and I honestly, if anyone doubts that there's good in the world, do what I'm doing. You will find that it's never gone away. It's just a matter of looking at things at a little different level than what you see on Facebook. I'm serious about that.
I'm wonder I'm wondering, you being so open about your experience and how how it's going to come to you. You're very just like whatever's going to come is going to come. Are you feeling that way creatively? Are you open to maybe that something creatively that you hadn't thought about before, even in the, I mean, it doesn't even have to be in the freelance aspect of it, but maybe just something that you've never experienced before that you'd be open to if this journey takes you there.
I'd love to be on a movie set for a month. Like I'm serious. Like that would be wild. I would love to do it. It's possible. It's one of those things where if the right situation kind of came my way, I know people in the industry, in various industries.
Mhm.
You know, I'm almost certain
Sure.
I'm almost certain I could get talked into being film crew for a month. I would
Mhm.
like let's say I end up going to say Las Vegas for example for a month. There's film stuff going on out there. I actually have some film experience, but I've never
Mhm.
had that long form do it for a month. That would be neat. That would be just a neat thing to say I did it. Meet a crew, bond with them,
Yeah.
right? Right and just do that for a short period of time. That would be a
You,
lot of fun.
you'll find yourself in Guatemala like I did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mexico
maybe.
City and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind. No, I don't care. Like that's
Yeah.
something that's
No, it's
something that
awesome.
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Again, I've interviewed like again, who knows? I might end up doing more. Like I said, I've written the equivalent of a book on my Substack about my adventures now, so I
Yeah.
technically have another book ready to be released.
Are you taking pictures along the way as well?
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. Like you're seeing if for those people that go to my Substack right now, there's some pictures there. I'm not taking as many as I'd like.
Hmm.
I will be honest. Like some there are. So one of the things I have to do when I'm on the road is usually there's a day. Let's say I'm in Montreal or I'm in Boston. Okay, one of the days I'm there has to be a work day. So I
Hmm.
have to go to find a coffee shop or somewhere to sit and work. I can't avoid that. That's part of how I can stay on the road.
Right.
But if I
Yeah, sure.
but so I don't get to see everything I want to. Oh,
Hmm.
but okay. Here's another example. Actually, something I did creatively that I haven't talked about yet. So in Boston, I ended up. It was a very small part. So I got to see a street performer for the first time. Like there's street performances in Boston, and I
A
ended up
buster.
right. No, so you had this guy doing like handstands and flips off a ladder.
Uh-huh.
So I was one of the very many men that were keeping him afloat up there physically. Because here's the other thing too, I'm carrying a 50-pound backpack and a 20-pound like recording equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. At a certain point in the trip, you're just like nothing's heavy to you anymore because
Yeah.
you're just so used to doing this. So
Yeah.
I ended up like being not a prop exactly, more like one of his many able bodied systems keeping him out there. So officially, for all of a second, I was working with the street performer. So there's a creative example of something I didn't expect.
That's awesome. Uh,
Yeah,
are you finding pockets of creativity flow for you,
it's easy.
or are you
It,
forcing it on these work days?
no, it's easy. It's so easy. It's just it's what I'm writing about that's different.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you ever read these when they were at their heyday, but Will Wheaton's blogs were awesome,
Hmm.
and he didn't write about like these monumental events. He wrote about joy, and about
Yeah.
like his kids, his D&D. It's the same. Travel writing is in a lot of ways the same kind of writing. You're writing about you're describing experiences, but for the most part, you're writing about joy and wonder.
Yeah.
So you're not writing about tension in the same way you would a fiction novel, right? I
Yeah.
mean, like fiction wise, I mean, I broke into another field I didn't expect to. I'm running some video game stuff for a guy right now, and I might be doing
Hmm.
some more.
Hmm.
All right, I might be doing some more for some other people. Like that might be an avenue I end up going down I didn't anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those situations where people like it's easy because at this point in the ball game, I like this has actually forced me to become more prolific, not less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Right? It's forced me to become more prolific, not less. And so
Mm.
it's actually easy for me once I really get going to get going. Actually, being here, it's harder here now than it would have been. I just think it's just where I'm at in my life. Being stationary
Yeah.
blows. Right?
Motion creates energy, and
Yeah, yeah,
energy
yeah.
creates creativity.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's it, right? I don't mind. The most fun I had as far as creativity goes was Rodney Fike in Independence, Kentucky. I got to him and his wife, or his significant other, I should say. They invited me into their house for a week, so I got to work with him. I ended up doing Cincinnati's Comic Expo show
Hmm.
with it. Like they had me work with them for the show and all that stuff. I got to be part of like Rodney's creative process, and Rodney is a super talented artist in his own right, and really great for him to. It was really great to see him just just go and be that guy he's wanted to be. Um, so yeah, I got that was an awesome week, and someday I want to be there, like it's just like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not there yet, and I'm okay not being there yet. I'm much more interested right now. Now it's about seeing what I haven't seen while I can still see it. And that's kind of how I feel. I'm getting older, a little older. I mean, I trust me, sleeping on the ground does not is not as fun as it was in my 20s, for sure. But at the same time, it's you're never you, to anyone that watches this and really like listens here, it's you're never too old to go try and find out.
Yeah.
And if this had blown up in my face, I could go back to Calgary for a little bit. I could go somewhere else if I wanted
Sure.
to, right? But what I realized for me personally is this is the point in my life. This is the point in my life where I have to accept the fact that, I need to find a new place for me, and I have to be open to that possibility.
Hmm.
And I'm not
You're taking the world for a test drive.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, no, that is exactly it. That is exactly it. I look at it. I'm looking at it from a very different lens. It's like,
Yeah, sure.
like, do I see myself being in Canada, the United States when this is all over? I honestly don't think so.
Yeah,
I
probably
don't.
not.
Yeah, I honestly don't think so. I think I'm gonna end up probably in some third world country somewhere. That's probably where I'm gonna end up. I'm not even lying. I'm not even lying. Right? Like I could see it because for I don't. I think the thing about here that the biggest common denominator in Canada and the United States is that simple life is super hard to do.
Yeah,
It's not simple anymore, and
yeah.
it really should be.
Nuance is taken over. You
Well,
know.
not even just nuance, just price. Look, man,
Yeah,
most of us, honestly, this is what most of us want. Most of us want our house, a family that loves us, and our own little corner of the universe. And that's it. That's all most of us want. We shouldn't have to pay $1 million for it, but
no.
that's what everybody's paying for it right now, and that's insane.
I I'm curious. Are you at a point where you know it's time to move on when you're staying somewhere?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
you've
yeah,
got a pretty good sense of that at this point.
yeah, yeah. Like, okay, where I'm at right now,
Hmm.
I'm here for I'm here for two reasons. Both my grandmothers are in the vicinity. I don't know when I'm going to be back this way again. I
Yeah,
really don't. Like, I don't. When I go, I don't know if the opportunity will come for me to come back
yeah,
anytime soon.
yeah,
So I'm here. That's one of the reasons I'm here because when I go, I don't know. Like I
yeah.
legitimately don't know if there's a moment I come back, and that's
Yeah.
not a slight against. That's not a slight against.
No, it's reality of life.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's just
You
that's it, right?
Your both grandmothers are at an age where grandmothers, you don't know how much time they have. You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, and that's just it, and that mortality has definitely hit home since I've been here. But I also know like there's gonna come. I'm excited to leave already. Like there's always a like right there is that part of me that's
Yeah.
excited like I've been here a month. I'm going. I just figure the holidays is just a good. It's a good time to kind of just go. You know
Yeah.
what? Recalibrate. Maybe.
Yeah. Be with
Hopefully,
family. That's
be
a
with
good
fam.
spot to be with family, and yeah. Because
And
that's
then what?
when family is most prominent, right? Is the holiday
Well,
aspects.
well. Okay. Here, I couldn't see my grandmother during the pandemic. Like
Yeah.
here, right now, bothered me a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm going to take this opportunity while I can because again, I don't know if I don't know how many more chances I'm going to have.
Yeah.
And same with my grandmother on the other side. I'm seeing her off and on too because same thing. I don't know how many more chances I'm going to have with either of them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's important right now. But
Mhm.
I also, I mean, there's also this. Okay, it's the end of the year. I could justify sitting on my ass for a month or so. I could do, or a
Mhm.
couple months. But when we get to the new year, I mean, like you got to move on. We all got
Yeah.
lives to we all got lives to live and lead,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how I see it. I rushed. I actually rushed. I didn't realize the weather would be this nice, or I wouldn't have rushed quite so quickly, right? To come this way. I probably would have been on the road another couple weeks before I came through. Um, but yeah, no. This
I'm
is
curious. Is there something you won't do on this journey? Is there something you've decided in your mind that's not going to happen?
I don't think I'm going to Toronto. And then I'm being
Well, I mean,
very.
you're within a stone's throw of it right now, anyway, aren't you? Pretty close.
Well, I'm pretty close, but no,
Yeah.
I don't want like. There are places I know I don't like. Like I just don't like them. I know it. I don't think they're gonna change that much. Like okay, I loved Montreal. Montreal, I like if the right opportunity came, I'd go back there. Montreal's sweet.
Yeah, I mean, but Montreal in your 20s is so much different than Montreal in your 40s, right? So,
You know what? I'd be okay with that. I'm really would be okay with that. You know, it's a different. I really enjoyed Montreal. I really enjoyed Quebec. That actually legitimately surprised me. I thought every horror story I heard about not being able to speak French would be terrible. But right,
I've been to Canada. I've been to Canada with you. I've been to Canada 3 times, and every time that we get talking, there's this horror story about Quebec that comes up.
yeah, yeah, no. So I go there. So this thing, all my friends that live there told me it's a terrible, terrible place. So I go to Montreal, and this is what I found. This works so well. Maybe just also where I'm at in my life. You know, you speak French terribly. You go, pardon, mon français terrible. Parlez-vous anglais? And right. And honestly, that goes a long way. That went so
Mhm.
far.
Mhm.
Right, and then they make fun of Ontario, which is really easy to do, and your friends, you have buddies everywhere. I'm not even kidding. Um,
I had a similar experience in Puerto Rico. I learned a little bit of Spanish. I tried to speak Spanish all when I could, and they were just like, don't even worry about it.
no, but again, they appreciate the effort.
Yeah,
That's the
they
whole.
do. Absolutely.
That's the whole
That's what I
thing.
meant. They
Yeah,
really did. They were like, that's really nice of you to do that, but you don't have to worry.
yeah. You don't have to kill yourself, but you should try a little bit, right? So, yeah, and I speak. It's been nice to brush up on my French a little bit because I hadn't
I bet.
spoken it in 30 years. Like
Yeah,
that's the other thing too. It's like I remember a chunk of it, but
yeah.
I hadn't used it
I'm
in
sure once people start talking, you kind of got into a rhythm too, a little bit.
a little bit. I honestly, I would have needed another few weeks to
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
really get, really get it right.
yeah.
So, but no, like that whole experience in Quebec was
Mhm.
amazing. It is heavily underestimated in Canada.
you're someone who I know is fearless in a lot of respects because of what you've been through in your life and who you are, right? And so I'm wondering if in these journeys, if fear has a different meaning for you now.
So here's a little secret. It's not that I'm not scared. That's not it. It's just so when I
You
was a
choose
kid.
not to care about it. Oh,
No,
much.
no, 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 no. It's different. No, no, no. I'll tell you a fun
Okay.
story. This is back when I was a kid. So
Mhm.
I was there's a cool little spot in Ontario called Grand Bend. If anyone in Ontario will hear it knows of the spot, they'll tell you how awesome it is. So my dad was on the road. This was when my family was still together. This is when I was a little kid. So we would go to Grand Bend. So Lake Huron, every once in a while, get really wavy, right? So
Yeah.
really like not surfer waves like in San
Yeah,
Diego,
no swells, but
but not tiny either, right?
yeah.
So you know, we would jump. I still remember, and I remember this. Like my sister, and she'll hate this. I'm telling this story, but I remember this. It was like her first time going in. Wade knocks her on her ass, like literally knocks her on her ass. So she was like 5. She gets out of the pool. Goes, I ain't going back in. All right, all right. That was it. Me. So I remember this. I just remember this as a long time ago. It's just there's these waves that I would be scared to jump. I'm watching my dad just jump in, like no problem. I'm just like, okay, he can do it. I can do it, right? Kind of thing. But it terrified me. Oh, and I got knocked on my ass. So I'm not even gonna like. I got knocked on my ass. But you're always afraid. It's just what I realize is that, and this every the few regrets I do have, it's because I let fear win. And I hate this. Like the last 5 years
I love
specific.
that. That's yeah.
Right. The last five
Mhm.
years in particular, I have watched good people let fear devour them.
Mhm.
No matter like because of what's going on outside the world beyond their
Mhm.
control. And don't get me wrong, the world can be a scary place. I'm not going to say it's not. I can't say there isn't uncertainty right now. And again, I don't really care which side of the fence you're on this. I don't. There's fear. But what I've learned in this life is that it doesn't. It being afraid is healthy. Like doubt is actually healthy too. Actually, a little doubt
Sure.
is good. A little doubt's
Sure.
good. Like one question I would ask people, and I've asked people, am I crazy for doing this? Do you think I'm nuts? Because here I am going off and about and just doing my thing, and the overwhelming number one answer I get is actually jealousy. It's like I wish I was
Yeah.
doing it. That's number one. That's the number one answer. Number two answer is I wish I was as brave as you.
Yeah.
And there's this inner desire for us to be free. So I look
Yeah.
at it like this. I'm not. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen when I go back out there in the wintertime. I don't. There's lots of things that could happen, but
Well, you're wanting to go to South America, which is a completely different environment and completely different political landscape and all
oh
these
sure.
things
Like
that are,
I know nothing. I know nothing, and
yeah.
that's both a that's a that innocence is a double-edged sword. I know
You're right,
this.
you're
Right? It's a double-edged sword.
right. Right.
But at the same time, from what everybody has told me, no matter which way you, and it doesn't matter. I go to
Yeah.
the Middle East. There's no different way. I go to England, Europe. Europe
Yeah.
is maybe slightly easier, but
Yeah.
still there is
Depends.
yeah, it depends, right? It's different.
Mhm. Yeah.
So a lot of terrible things could happen to me. I could get stuck in limbo. There's tons. But you know what has hurt me in this life more than anything else? What if I don't do it?
Yeah.
That hurts way more. So I find that fear. A lot of people look at fear as a cage. I see it as a door, and that's really the whole thing. Now sometimes there are moments even I will look at it and go, nope, not worth it. It's just not worth it. But I will weigh it out. Like I will legitimately just in my head go, do I really want to know?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is no, I really don't want to know. Like, okay, so I contemplated. I'll give you an example, like a small down to earth one. Well, I take a lot of walks here. So one day I'm walking down Fullerton, which is a road in the back, right? I
Yeah.
contemplated it's something I used to do as a kid. Sometimes I used to be able to hop that fence that go into my grandmother's yard. Fence isn't like scary or anything like that. It's just like I haven't really done anything like that in a long time. And I'm thinking to myself, and this is what I'm thinking to myself: do I really, really need to do it? Right? Do I need to do this? Yeah, exactly. Like, no, I don't. I really don't. So,
But
sometimes it's but sometimes it's like, no. Do I really want to do this? And
yeah,
I think that's the thing. I've learned in
yeah.
this. Sometimes it's not worth it. I will say this. Sometimes it's really not worth it. But I think it is if you want it. You know, I want to be somewhere where I'm with people I want to be around that aren't going to um, not want to not going to ghost me for some stupid ass reason, or right. I don't want that kind of thing in my life anymore. So I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to find it. And that's what I'm going to do. And when I find it, it could be in Mexico.
Yeah, it
Shit.
could be anywhere.
Yeah, it could be literally be anywhere, right? So I'm not going to at this point in my life let that outside perception. The worst thing you can do, and this is the other thing too, and then going back to fear, let this or Facebook or television, they're not the real world. Like more than anything else, the other big lesson I think I would tell people about this: television's not the real world. Facebook's not the
Hmm.
real world. Social media is not the real world. It's a fantasy land,
Yeah.
right? It's where people can pretend that there are good guys and bad guys out there in your vicinity because of who they vote for or what they think or feel. The real world means we got to actually talk to each other and understand each other and go out there and see things and do things. And I don't, and so you can't let fantasy dictate your reality. And I know that might sound really weird coming from me, who writes about unicorns that fart rainbows advertisements, but still, it's true. It's so true. Like again, do bad things happen in the world? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But are they the only things that happen in the world?
No.
Nah, nah. There's
No,
more
I
good
get
than
that.
bad. There's more good
Yeah.
than bad.
All right. I have one more question for you, and then I'm going to ask you to give me some numbers. Um, so my my question to you is, looking at this now and where you're at and what you're doing, do you think the 20-year-old Josh who tried this at one point would have been as successful as you are?
No,
Why not?
cause I had to unlearn some things in my
Hmm.
30s.
Hmm.
Um, could I have unlearned them in my 20s?
Nah, probably not,
Mm,
because it's all about experience, right?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Here. Okay, I guess here's the thing. Knowing what I know now, if my Arizona experience, I needed to go through that.
Hmm.
But if it had gone a different way, in terms of it was the experience I needed, and
Hmm.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if it would have opened certain opportunities than I'm getting now, I might have. I don't know if I would have been able to handle them well. Again, there's an argument there, but at the same time, I don't know if I might have been ready faster. I might have been ready faster. Historically, my family's biggest issues are trust and surrender, and I'm just this is and that has always
It's the
been.
family crest.
It is no, it really is. Um, you have to learn, like, you're not in control of much in this life. You
No.
really aren't. It doesn't matter, and you have to kind of learn to accept that reality.
Hmm.
So the Arizona experience put that really in perspective. So,
Hmm.
and I needed that. So this is a weird one. I needed that experience, but I also can't say that if I would have gotten some of the things that are happening to me now, then that I wouldn't. Who knows where they would have gone? 20-year-old Josh, in some ways, was more fearless than 40-year-old Josh.
Sure.
Some ways,
But he
right?
was also probably not as experienced and a little bit stupid. Let's,
Oh no
let's
no
put blunt.
40-year-old Josh is very stupid too, and he's okay with that.
But you're a
Yeah,
different stupid right
yeah.
now.
Oh no 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 no. Like I said, there are things I realize about myself that there's certain things I'm going to do for the rest of
Mhm.
my life that I'm always going to do,
Sure,
right? And I will always be a bit of a risk taker, but
sure.
I also think that
And you will always be outspoken, and you will always be you have grown a lot since I've known you, and I'm sure you would say the same about me. It's just natural. That's the natural progression of who we are as people, But
yeah, I'm okay being the bad guy now, and it's fun to be the bad guy. No, I'm very okay with it. I've learned again. The one thing I've learned in this life is that you can't please everybody, so you're not going to.
yeah,
And I'm not deliberately trying to make anyone mad or anyone, vehemently say whatever they're going to say. I don't care really. That's just it. I don't care. If you're going to perceive me a certain way because of a certain opinion I have, that's fine. You can have it. I'm going to shake your hand. I'm still going to come at 50-year-old in an obnoxious cape with an assistant carrying it so I can look cool at times. And that would be my official midlife crisis point right there. That obnoxious cape, possibly talking in the third person, no mustache. No evil villain mustache, though.
all right. All right. So, Mr. Josh, I'm doing a thing this year where I have 50 questions. So I need you to give me five numbers between 1 and 50.
42, just cuz. We'll go 4,
Hmm.
21,
Hmm.
uh, 1 and 12.
Okay. All right. So question 42 is, ah, this is interesting. Where do you feel the safest?
Okay, wow. Safest. Hmm. I'm not trying to pause for dramatic effect. I'm actually really
No, no,
thinking
no.
about
You're really
this.
thinking about
Yeah, I'm
it.
thinking about it. Two spots. If I'm seeing somebody and I'm in somebody's arms, that's a safe place.
Nice.
The other answer, if you're looking for like an actual place,
Hmm.
um, honestly, I would have to go back to, yeah, Park Hill, Ontario, when my family was all together. That was the safest I ever felt in my life.
That's awesome. All right. Number four is, does writing energize you or exhaust you?
Most of the time, it energizes me. Once in a blue moon, it exhausts me.
Okay, number 21 is, what is your what is your favorite underappreciated novel?
Underappreciated. Okay. Hmm. I would. Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna go with. Okay. I'm gonna do a classic and a modern. I'm gonna say from a classic, I'm gonna pick Les Miserables, Victor Hugo. Really, really good book. Really, really good book. Um, Secondary choice, modern. Honestly, I'm just gonna say he's underrated. Period. Garth Nix. Love anything he does. Super imaginative. I love the Monday stuff. Is just super good.
Only you could pull this question too, and we're at kismet levels here right now. What literary pilgrimages have you gone on?
Literary pilgrimage. Okay, define that for me.
Well, it doesn't really define anything. I don't
Yeah,
really.
because is it me searching for like rare books? Is it me because there
Well, interpret it the way you want to interpret it. Say, give me your thought on how you would view that question.
okay, I'll give you a good fun one. Coolest thing about Detroit, Michigan, in my opinion, is right in my opinion. So I've shown some pictures of this on my social media. There's a bookstore called John King Books. It is 5 floors of used books. There's a million of them. The whole place is a treasure trove of books. If you want to go on a literary journey through our past, present, and future, that is the place to go. It is a very, very, very special one. That's a bookstore, ladies and gentlemen. That is an amazing place. And interesting fact, my grandmother in Detroit, her first job was in that building. So, a little bit of a double kismet there. So that's how I'll answer that question.
All right, and that sounds awesome. I would love to see that bookstore. That sounds like an amazing experience.
It
All right,
is.
your last question you chose is: do you want each of your books to stand on their own, or are you trying to build a body of work that will eventually connect to each other?
Hmm. I've thought about doing the body of work that would connect to each other.
Hmm.
The Cloud Diver actually does connect to all the books. Actually, it does have a little bit of a little teaser in there. Um, but is that necessarily the master plan? Career wise, I'm at an interesting point in that this is going to sound really weird. I don't care if I hit prestige points anymore. So I've written all over the place. I've written for every conceivable genre. I've written for comics. I've written novels. I've written video games. I've written short stories. I've written essays. I've written like articles. I've written interviews. Um,
Have you done a
I,
screenplay yet?
I've not done a screenplay. And to be very honest, this is gonna sound weird. It's the one I'm not. And this sounds weird. I'm not interested in it, and I'm not sure why.
That's too plain for you. It's
Yeah,
too plain for you.
yeah. So
It
I'm
has
not.
rules. It has rules you have to follow,
Oh,
Josh.
I'm okay with following rules. Actually, it's just for whatever reason, honestly, a video game intrigues me more than a screenplay at this point, and that's just where I'm at in my life.
And
Maybe
it's a
because
very similar format in a lot of
yeah,
respects.
a lot of ways, yeah. The biggest difference is interaction, right? The
Mhm.
biggest difference is interaction,
Well,
and I
also
actually,
you have to multiply different scenarios. So
yeah,
that's
that's what they call it. Yeah, so video games is branch writing. So
yeah, yeah,
you're writing with the player's choices in mind.
yeah,
Screenplay is what I really like about screenplay writing. To be blunt, is how efficient it is. When it's really good and it's efficient, it's
yeah,
actually amazing. Uh,
yeah.
it's one of my favorite screenplays actually is The Dark Knight from Christopher
Uh,
Nolan. It's so smartly put together. So much efficient like
so
that.
I say I know it's worn out now, but and I just recently reread it. But The Sixth Sense is the best screenplay I've ever read in my entire life.
No, it's a good one. No, it's a really good one. It's very clever.
Hmm.
I okay. This is just a more of a personal taste thing. I like Dark Knight a little bit more just because of how on the nose it is in some ways. It's just like this is really good, but
Yeah,
no, but no. Sixth Sense is probably the clever. I understand it. It's one of the cleverest things like M Night Shyamalan's ever written. It is
yeah,
so
absolutely.
good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Right. It's just for whatever reason. It's just for whatever reason. It doesn't appeal to me the same way. Like with video games, like I love like the dream with me would be like something like a Final Fantasy or a Chrono Trigger and Chrono Trigger ages me big time. I don't care, or a Persona or a Tales game. I love writing good character stories that the players are immersing themselves into and being a part of. It's so fun. That intrigues me a lot more.
With your current villainous nature, would you be interested in something like a Silent Hill or something like that, where you can get a little darker?
Sure. No, bad guys are super fun to write. Like bad guys are super, super, super fun to write. I find that they don't have the same rules. And they're much more interesting when they're right. And that's the other thing
Yeah,
too. They're much more interesting when they're right.
yeah.
So going back to the original question before we went down this rabbit hole, I would say at this point, I'm not necessarily interested in making a whole comprehensive multi-universe thing. I think they're cool. I admire Brandon Sanderson in particular for how ambitious that really is.
Hmm.
Um, Stephen King half did it. Brandon Sanderson is doing it, so I take my hat off to him. But
We
at the
also
same,
have a mutual friend in Con Lavery who's doing it as well, and it's
yes,
very
yeah, no, and Con and again, I think they're very cool. I think they're very, I think okay. Here's the most meta answer I'm going to give on the entire interview, and it's this: no matter whether they're separate or they're connected, they are always connected. And here's no. Here's why. Here's why. Because it doesn't matter whether I'm writing for somebody for money or whether I'm writing for myself or whether
Mhm.
I'm doing a myriad of other things. We're writing about ourselves. We're writing about where we are at in the journey of life and what we care about in that moment in life too, right? That's what we're doing. That's
Yeah,
what drives us.
yeah.
And whether I'm writing about why I became a Taylor Swift fan for a blog, or whether I'm writing about a unicorn that farts rainbow advertisements, or whether I'm writing about Alice going possibly realize trying to wake up from her dream. There's parts of me in each of these characters. There's things I care about with all of them.
Mhm.
To say that I don't care would be a lie. What I would say, well, like don't care or like about anything I'm proud of everything I've written, good, bad, and indifferent. So they're all connected in the sense that they're all a piece of me. Where they all, but is the universe designed to be cohesive in the sense that I'm trying to connect Alice with the Watcher? No, I'm not trying to connect Alice with the Watcher. Would I ever get to that point? There might come a point when I'm 75, I'll just say fuck it and I'm going to do it. But right now,
I have a feeling you might Easter egg it a couple times in some things you're doing, but yeah,
yeah. Easter eggs are different. Easter eggs are
yeah.
fun,
But those
but
those are those are subtle connections. You know what I mean?
yeah. I don't know. I don't want to do a Crisis on Infinite Earth story. I just don't. It just did not. I
Yeah,
just don't.
yeah. And it's a lot of work. People don't realize how much fucking work that is too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the payoff better be good.
yeah,
Yeah. The payoff better be real good because
yeah.
if
You
not,
can't. If you piss off somebody with the direction you take one thing, it's over. It's just not going to happen. So
well,
yeah.
just as an aside, like the Marvel multiverse experiment, I think we all can agree is kind of a failure, and yeah, or we all can kind of agree on that. The
I
reason
think
it
I think well here's okay. We can stop if we want because this is going to be a tangent. But I here's what I think. Right here's the idea I think about with this is that this is the fundamental problem with storytelling for me completely, and that is people don't know where to start and people don't know where to end. And Endgame was the perfect ending, and they just wanted to keep it going, and it just doesn't work when you do that. The end came and we felt it and we experienced it. And
I so here's my take. This is right. I think you can tell a compelling story with characters you care about. Marvel's failure, and we're not going to go deep, is ever since Endgame, there hasn't been, with the exception of Deadpool. Ironically enough, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Wolverine, yeah.
Yeah, right now the Deadpool Wolverine, like that was a fantastic
And
movie.
it's the most loosely connected to all of it that
But
there
yeah, but
is.
because okay, I'm gonna so folks, I'm doing a slight tinge of spoiler on Deadpool Wolverine, but there's a great psychologist analyzed that movie, and hilariously, one of the themes is it's essentially two characters going through a midlife crisis,
Yeah.
two buddies, right? Deadpool wants to matter.
Yeah.
Wolverine doesn't
But
want the expectations anymore. He doesn't want to matter. So I mean,
he wants to
literally,
be remembered.
Well, no, he doesn't. He doesn't want to matter. Like he doesn't want to have this responsibility on his shoulders anymore,
Yeah.
right? So when you get to the end of the movie, when the Deadpool's literally pulling matter and Wolverine's linked to antimatter, it's like it's right on the nose. So I've spoiled that little piece of it, but I think at this point everybody knows. But the thing is, the character beats are them trying to figure out their place in the world at this point in their lives. That really resonates. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes, it's funny, it's gratuitous, but it's a real story. And that's the problem with Marvel is it doesn't feel you can have like you can have tensionless moments, you can have just really cool fun moments, but if you don't have the character beats, it doesn't matter. Like you could was there more stories to tell beyond Endgame? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But do you give a shit about any of the characters that have been on the film for the last? No,
Yeah.
because it's got to be it's character first, or it doesn't work, and that's kind of what like that's kind of why they're doing a soft reset in the next couple of years because they just
Yeah.
realize we jumped the shark on this. We need to pull it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
that's it.
Absolutely.
That's it for the Marvel talk.
All right. So tell everybody where they can follow this journey you're on right now, and everything where they can get the stuff that you have put out.
So right now I am literally finishing writing my Canadian journey. It comes out next week. I'm on joshuapantalleresco.substack.com. You can follow the journey. And here's the thing, I'm trying to get to 100 followers. If you are a follower of mine and I haven't done so already, I will send you a letter, a card from wherever I'm at in the world when you follow me. Doesn't matter if it's free or paid subscription. But here's the part where I'm hoping I get some people to jump on. So once I write the next chapter, I have a full book, literally a full memoir done. I'm going to have in terms of a draft. Now I've got to turn what I've written in the last and add details and stuff like that. I'm going to be doing that for the next month or so. And I'm going to make that exclusive to people that actually pay for it. You want to read about my memoirs, ask questions, criticize the book, rip me a new one. You shouldn't write like this, and that's fine. You can do that, but you're right, and you can do so. And here's the thing: if you do this, when the book's ready, I'll send you a digital first, and we'll figure out how to do it if you're not in Canada or the United States right now, but we'll figure out a way to send you a physical copy when I do a physical copy of my journey. So that's the plan. That is the master plan. You can also listen to my actually I have two podcasts right now. I have the Just Josh and the Interview podcast has moved to Substack as well. I'm still on Podomatic. They ended up sponsoring a travel. They're sponsoring a travel podcast for me,
Nice.
where I'm talking about. I'm not doing the same thing. It's a drive to work podcast. So if you're driving to work and you want to listen to me talk for 15 minutes about stuff, that's what I'm doing. I talk about the stuff I haven't talked about on the trip, or I might talk about or elaborate more on some of the things I did on the trip in this podcast. So it's the Just Josh and Travelers edition. They're both available wherever you listen to podcasts. Check a look at them. I want to thank Podomatic for giving it to me. That's one of the promises I made. So I'll mention it. Check them out as well. And yeah, I think that's everything.
Awesome. Well, this has been awesome conversation. Everything I had hoped for. I'm cheering for you as always, buddy, and I can't wait to see you when you get to this part of the journey. And everybody, check out what we're doing here at Go Indie Now, and thank you all. Just remember, it's always time to go indie.